Get along, little doggy.
How you doing? How you doing? How did you? Welcome to the mustacheandthebeard.com. Two great geeks.
Changing the world. Changing the world, partner. One post at a time.
So, welcome to our SCAR video number 13, or XIII.
XIII.
And let's start with, as usual, my name is Louis Matos. I am the Mustache. But for this month, I am Sheriff Medaya. I am Sheriff Medaya, and you're Corona.
And I'm Corona. I'm Marshal Corona.
Okay.
He's Sheriff Medaya, and I am Marshal Corona.
All right, and tell them who you are in real life.
Oh. You brought me back to reality. Oh, God. I am Junior Figueroa, a.k.a. The Beard, coming to you live from sunny Puerto Rico. And in Puerto Rico, we love them Westerns, boy. We love Westerns.
Out on the ranch, there's some cows out there.
There's some cows out there.
They need some rustling.
We're trying to figure out how to shoot our video outside.
Yeah.
With the cows, you know.
In the background, yep.
But the problem is it's too damn noisy outside.
No, not only that, they don't know how to move.
They're pretty cows, though.
Oh, yes, they
They're
are.
very pretty cows. And the thing is that they know it, you know, because they come up to you like, look at me, I'm a pretty cow.
With these huge eyes.
These big eyes.
All right, so a SCAR video is streaming cinema authentic review.
Thank you, my friend, for not asking and not making me go through the embarrassment of not remembering what SCAR stands for.
Yeah, so it's we do our review, and we're going to be doing a review on Quigley Down Under.
Quigley Down Under. Why are we doing Quigley Down Under? Because this month we're celebrating High June.
High June!
It's our month to celebrate Westerns. It's our Western month. Not High Noon, High June. Yee-haw!
So, Quigley Down Under. Why are we going to do Quigley Down Under? Because unique Western.
It's a unique Western. Why is it a unique Western?
It takes place in Australia, right?
When is a Western not a Western? When it takes place outside the West. And yet, there's quite a few, because if you stop and you think about it, the Magnificent Seven take place in Mexico. It's not in the West.
No. Despite Australia, this movie follows Western tropes.
Yes.
Which we have described in the past since last year. Story types indicative of the genre. That's what a trope is. And, you know, it has horses.
Has horses.
It has 6 guns.
It has 6 guns.
It has shootouts.
It has shootouts.
And a sharp's rifle.
And it even has natives.
Uh-huh.
Of course.
I was going to say that. Indigenous peoples.
Indigenous people. It substitutes the Aborigines for the Native Americans. But yes, it goes to show you, you watch this movie and it goes to show you how what was going on in our history, it was going on in other places, other frontiers, other countries and other continents that was also celebrating a frontier. The same sort of thing was going on over there. Granted, it's not going on in Europe, but Europe, you know, that's where everybody came from. Mm-hmm. But it was going on in Canada, it was going on in Mexico, it was going on in the U.S.
Frontier.
It was going on in Australia. It was even going on in Africa. Because it's a frontier.
All right, so we're excited. Woohoo! SCAR number 13. Quigley Down Under. All right, as usual, when we go into a movie, we always do start off with some foundational background material. Quigley Down Under is a 1990 Australian-American Western directed by Simon Windsor. John Hill wrote the initial screenplay in 1974. 1974, Junior. a 1990 movie.
It goes to show you how long screenplays can be
Kicked around. So John Hill wrote the initial screenplay in 1974, inspired by a Los Angeles Times article talking about the slaughter of Australian Aborigines in the 19th century. So, like you said, as the slaughter of American Indians was occurring, the slaughter of Aborigines was going on.
Yeah.
John Hill was able to make that correlation and said, that's a pretty interesting way of having a Western. Although Westerns were in decline in the 1970s, Hill thought that a Western set in Australia would be sufficiently fresh that studios would be intrigued and would hire him. He was partly right, because although they thought it was interesting, they said, why don't you work on another project for us? So they hired him, not for this movie.
Yeah, just not for that. But he did get a job.
So, but he was working on such nonsensical things like Quantum Leap.
Oh, come on.
And LA Law.
LA Law?
All right, so.
Or as my relatives called it, La Law.
All right. Mort Engelberger optioned the script in 1979, 5 years later, for Steve McQueen.
Wow.
But shortly thereafter...
I can see Steve McQueen doing it, too.
But he passed away from cancer.
In Tom Horn?
No.
Yeah, it's very much like
Quigley?
Yeah.
All right, so because McQueen died...
right after The Hunter.
Yeah, so Engelberg and McQueen had done The Hunter together. CBS Theatrical Films bought the option from him. So Hill, who originally wrote the screenplay, is getting, kickbacks from this. They bought the option, and Rick Rosenthal was supposed to be the director, but 3 years later, it went back to John Hill. In 1987, it was attached to Tom Selleck. The minute it gets to attach to Tom Selleck, Disney, Warner Brothers, and Pathé Studios fight over who gets it.
Now there's a bidding war.
There was a bidding war for it, and it sold for $250,000 to Pathé.
Wow,
Yes,
really?
they're the studio that worked.
They outbid Disney and... Wow.
And, of course, John Hill is loving this because this movie that has been this script that has been kicked around for 15 years is finally going to get done. And he gets $250,000 on top of everything else that he's been getting. So, a $20 million budget was set. They had they attached with Tom Selleck. They attached a Australian director, which is Simon Windsor, and
that makes sense.
Yeah, which makes complete sense.
That makes sense.
And Windsor's contribution was to make the movie more historically accurate by resetting the movie 20 years earlier, because that's when the annihilation of the Aborigine was starting out, and so that's when they would have needed a person of sharps, a sharpshooter, to get rid of some of the, those bad people. Okay, so the film is shot entirely in Australia. Tom Selleck's rifle is an authentic replica of an 1874 Sharps rifle. Mm-hmm. After the movie, the rifle was donated to the NRA, National Rifle Association, for an exhibit called Real Guns of Real REEL people or heroes. So
real and real.
Yeah. So that's where this movie starts its genesis. Before we move on, also there are scenes of violence. So if you are a person that gets easily triggered by violence, it's violence towards people and animals.
Yes. Yeah. Although I know for a fact that no animals were hurt making this movie, and no people were hurt making this movie.
No animals were actually hurt. Quigley and Korra are invited to eat grub worms, They don't
And
actually
to eat grub worms,
No,
right?
they ate blobs of dough.
Yeah.
A horse falls off of
Of
a
a cliff.
cliff.
It's not a real horse.
It's a mechanical horse.
Yeah. So nobody got hurt, but there are. It's violent and it's heart wrenching.
Yes, absolutely.
It's heart wrenching violence.
A pack of dingoes attack Korra, and she shoots them, but
Right. No dingoes were actually shot.
yes. So these are trained dogs. So
Right.
yeah. So that and they make that very clear at the end, like boom, splash.
Right.
No animals.
No, I'll tell you the truth, because I really thought that horse fell off the cliff.
Yeah.
It's so well done. I really thought
It's moving.
Yes, I really thought. I was like, oh my God, was that a stunt horse? I hope that was a stunt horse.
It was a mechanical horse.
Yeah.
So it's like the Jaws.
I was happy to hear that.
Like the Jaws robot shark. All right, so let's talk about the cast of characters, and then we'll go on to the plot. So the cast of characters, Tom Selleck is Matthew Quigley, hired as a sniper protagonist by Alan Rickman's character, Elliot Marston, the antagonist and lover of Western lore.
Yeah.
So he's one of those that
Yeah, he
was born on the wrong continent.
Yeah, he says it so. He says that he was born on the wrong continent.
Uh-huh.
He fancies himself as an old west gunfighter and cattle baron, and
which is what Quigley believes that he's being hired for, to be a cattle rustler. But no, that's not why he's being hired.
he's being hired to snipe and shoot and kill the Aborigines.
Laura San Giacomo is Crazy Korra. She's the love interest.
The prostitute who has experienced some really traumatic, heart-wrenching stuff, and she's a little off her rocker, which is why they call her Crazy Korra.
I love her because I'll tell you, Junior, instantly, and rewatching it, I say to myself, Marshall Corona. I saw Sophia Loren. I saw Raquel Welch. These are the women that immediately came into my... I'm like, oh my God. Looking at her, she's gorgeous in this movie.
Right. And she's heart-wrenching. She somehow... This is the movie that shows she can act. She can act. Because somehow at the same moment as being the comedy relief for the movie, she is also the most heart-wrenching character. She makes you cry, and that's a hell of a range.
Mm-hmm.
That's a hell of a range.
Yeah, usually the person that makes you laugh is not the person that gives you heart, and this movie is all heart because of her.
She steals the movie.
If you don't know who Raquel Welch or Sophia Loren are, boys and girls, you can Google them, and you will see that there is some. She's olive complected. She's gorgeous in this movie. I mean, there's a lot to love here. Chris Haywood is Major Ashley Pitt, and he leads a slew of other villains and Aborigines. And so I'm going to leave the cast right there.
Yeah.
All right, so it's time for you to read the plot or be a plot.
Can I be a plot and read the plot at the same time? I'm multi-talented. Okay. Matthew Quigley is an American cowboy with a specially modified sharp rifle that can fire extraordinary distances. In response to a newspaper ad requiring a sharpshooter, and it isn't until we saw this movie that I realized that sharpshooter comes from the Sharps rifle. Requiring a sharpshooter in Australia, Quigley has arrived at the port when he witnesses a man trying to force Crazy Korra onto his wagon. When Quigley identifies himself, the men that Quigley was fighting, that were fighting over Korra, communicate that they were there to take him to his new employer, Elliot Marston. It was apparently a big deal. When Quigley boards the wagon, Korra follows. Over the course of several days, that's how deep into the outback.
Yes, absolutely. They show the desert, they show night coming, and they camp out and everything.
Right. The wagon travels over the Australian outback to arrive at Marston's place, which is basically a ranch. Quigley is told that he has been hired to snipe Aboriginals. He's been hired to kill the native population.
Long distance. Yeah.
Long distance. He refuses and gets into a fight with his boss and actually tosses him out of his own house. In which case he gets mad and he comes in. Nobody throws me out of my own house. So Quigley does it again. But eventually he's overcome by Marston's men, right, his ranch hands, and they beat him up, right? And then Marston's men dump him and Korra in the outback without food and water. But they are rescued by Aboriginals. While they are with the Aborigines, Korra tells a satellite story that explains her manic state and why she keeps calling Quigley Roy, right? Which is part of her lapsed mental state. But after the story, you understand why. Marston's men attack the Aboriginal that helped Quigley and Korra, driving them over a cliff. Quigley manages to kill almost all of Marston's men, but one gets away. In the meantime, Korra manages to rescue an Aborigine baby. Leaving Korra and the infant in the desert, Quigley heads to town where he finds a gunsmith that hates Marston. The gunsmith tells Quigley that he has become a legendary figure amongst the Aborigines. He also, this is important because Quigley needs to reload. He needs to he's run out of bullets. And in order for him to continue fighting and the upcoming climax, he needs bullets. So his going to see the gunsmith was important. Okay, which is why it's important enough that he leaves Korra and the baby alone in the desert.
It's great because in tropes, and a lot of Western tropes, they don't reload their guns.
Right.
So here we actually see
and not only reloading, but that he needs
supplies.
He needs bullets because he hasn't gotten the bullets back. You know. So and there's no other sharp rifle there. Whilst in town, some of Marston's men recognize Quigley's horse and set a trap to ensnare him, but Quigley is too smart to fall so easily. When he reaches Korra in the desert, he sees that she has defended the baby from a pack of dingoes. The climax occurs when Quigley must go back to Marston's ranch to face the remaining men and Marston himself. And let me tell you something, that showdown, that final showdown, classic, amazing.
Yeah, that's what I mean as far as there's some new stuff here, as well as they mesh the old tropes.
Right.
They mesh it with some new stuff that you're like, wow, this is an original movie.
There's a showdown. There's a shootout. There's a face-off. It may be taking place in Australia, but it's still a Western story.
Yeah, it is, absolutely. So for the reception of this movie, it barely recouped the $20 million that they spent on the movie. A lot of mixed reviews. 59% on Rotten Tomatoes, and I don't understand why.
Me neither.
Roger Ebert argued that it was a flawed but respectable neo-Western, praising San Giacomo's performance.
Yes. I agree.
Okay, so according to him, this may be the movie that proves her staying power. She had an authority, a depth of presence that is attractive, and her voice is deep and musical. That's what he said. And I would add, I hope that this doesn't sound crass. There is a sensual smokiness to her look in this movie, like Sophia Loren and Raquel Welch, which I've already said. It is a rare quality in Hollywood. In fact, I don't think anybody other than those two women that I mentioned have it. I wouldn't even say Marilyn Monroe has it.
Right.
She might get there, close to it, but she's not there. Maybe I would say Jacqueline Bisset and Rachel Ward come close, but she is. I would put her in the caliber of Raquel Welch and Sophia Loren, and so I love her in this role and in this movie.
Yeah, she steals the movie.
Do you want to go to ratings and recommendations, and then, or want to mention Alan Rickman first?
No, let's talk about Alan Rickman.
Okay. Alan Rickman is the bad guy.
The bad guy.
And you gotta have a really good bad guy in order to have a really good movie.
Yes, yes. The quality of your hero is dependent upon the quality of the villain,
Mm-hmm.
which is something that they seem to be forgetting in James Bond movies.
Correct. Absolutely. Alan Rickman, as you know, Marston is a villain. He's like, go after him. You know, when he gets kicked out of his house for the second time, he tells his guys, "What are you waiting standing? Go in there and get him.
Get him!"
In the meantime, he goes in there. No one's gonna get me out of my house. He goes in there a second time.
Just kicked out again.
So you know, Alan Rickman has a lot of hired hands, so he doesn't have to get his hands dirty, but he likes to get his hands dirty, as you could tell in this little story. But I love Alan Rickman as the bad guy. I always love him as the bad guy.
I love him as an actor.
Uh-huh. He totally can act, and he totally sells his role as somebody who loves Western lore.
It's hard to believe that the same Alan Rickman that's playing in Galaxy Quest is the same nasty guy in Quigley Down Under and in Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves. You know, it's hard to believe that it's the same guy. But then that's a tribute to his acting.
And Die Hard.
And Die Hard, that's right. And Die Hard, that's right.
Uh-huh. Yes, listen. This guy could play bad, but our last scar you mentioned was on Galaxy Quest, the funny movie, and here he is. He sells the silliness too. Listen, good actor. So yeah, definitely want to say
the
that.
January Man with Kevin Kline, because he's Kevin Kline's Dr. Watson in the January Man.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Good.
I tell you, amazing actor, amazing actor.
That he could play both good guys and bad guys.
Yeah.
All right, so let's go to ratings and recommendations, because I think I'm pretty much done with.
Well, I think considering how much we're gushing over this movie, I think it's fair to say we're both recommending this movie, considering that we haven't had anything negative to say. So, if you want me to go first, I highly recommend this movie. I've always loved it. I got to see the movie in the theater when it first came out. Loved it. I've always been a Tom Selleck fan. I like Tom Selleck's movies and TV shows. I like his scope as an actor, but I really love his westerns. The westerns that he's done. He's so believable, you know, cut from the same cloth with Randall Scott and Gary Cooper. So, I recommend this. Crazy Korra steals the movie. Fantastic, heartbreaking. I have nothing bad to say about this movie. I can't think of a thing wrong with it, and I can't think of anything that I would have done different. And so I gotta give it 5 Great Geeks.
Wow.
I gotta give it 5 Great Geeks.
Okay. Pretty cool. Again, I agree with you that I'm giving it 4 Great Geeks. I don't think it's perfect, but I do love this movie.
So what would you have changed, though?
I think Tom Selleck plays the same character every time. So that's my little pet peeve.
But isn't that a Western trope in itself? John Wayne plays the same character every time. Randall Scott plays the same character every time.
Okay, no equivocation. Originality mixed with a Western. Laura San Giacomo is stunning and riveting. When she's on screen, the satellite story in less capable hands would be trite, but instead she injects with pathos a delivery that otherwise might seem flat, but is really a kick to the groin. I guess the only thing is my pet peeve would be the whole Tom Selleck thing. I gave it 4, thinking that I was giving it a high rating. I don't know. Other than there aren't as many horses. I wish the whole him becoming a legendary hero for the Aborigine. He does one thing. So I don't know how that happens.
Because no white man has stood up to the Aborigines before.
Okay, I wish there would have been more of that. That's another thing, the legend. It's like, okay, I could see, but how does the legend get out when Marston's men kill the entire tribe except for the one infant? So yeah, I'm not sure the whole legend thing. Listen. The making of a hero. We know the hero story is one of the tropes that is usually done. So yeah, I'm giving it 4 stars. I guess I'm a jerk. I don't know. I thought I was giving it a high. I didn't think you were going to give it 5. Yeah. So I have no other explanation. What I wrote down. The cinematography is really good. The music is really good. Sound effects, there are some really cool, funny little things that happen. Like, all right, well, I forgot. My train of thought was they're in Marston's on Marston's ranch, and Quigley's coming, right? And Quigley sends a message to the ranch. Anybody that leaves before sundown, they are free to go. Mm-hmm. I won't trouble you. Mm-hmm. And Marston is like, nobody's leaving, and 3 people desert. I mean, those are like funny touches. All right, I'm gonna give it 4.5 Grey Geeks. Because I'm only taking half a point away for Tom Selleck playing the same character. Although I love the whole Sharp's rifle thing. I love that he uses it as a weapon when he's punching and fighting. It's like he's using a kendo stick, and fighting. So, all right. So I guess I reevaluated 4.5 Grey Geeks. And it's me convinced. I mean, you just keep asking questions.
I haven't said anything. All I'm doing is asking questions.
All right. So
you get convincing yourself.
I know. All right. Is there anything else you want to say?
I just want to say that I love doing these videos with you. I do.
All right. We come to the part of the show. Little doggies. When
time for the last roundup.
Yeah, last roundup. So, and I usually ask you to give us a wise missive.
I do. I have a wise missive because I am getting on in years. I now have to write these things down because I can no longer remember.
Pretty soon it'll be spectacles for you.
I got them on. Okay.
No, I mean like the bottle size, the bottle of a bottle.
There you go. My wise missive for today is: human progress isn't measured by industry. It's measured by the value you place on life. An unimportant life, a life without privilege. That's what defines an age, and that's what defines a species.
With that having been said, we have enjoyed doing another video.
Boy, have we enjoyed doing this video.
Recommendations from the both of us for Quigley Down Under.
Go watch it.
As always, I always ask people to push the like button.
Yes, please.
If you're not a subscriber, we'd like you to subscribe, please. And push a like, make a comment. We love our comments.
If you have suggestions, please, we're open to suggestions.
Yeah, all this month will be High June, so we'll be wearing the cowboy hats.
Is there anything that you want us to cover, or any questions that you might have? Send them in, quick.
Awesome. And so we always say thank you for watching. My name is Louis Matos. I am the Mustache playing Sheriff Corona.
I'm Junior Figueroa, a.k.a. The Beard, playing Marshal Corona.
Yeah, I'm Natalia. I'm going to have to write that down.
We've been drinking too much, Natalia.
Apparently. So I say, see you later.
Hasta la vista.
Take it easy.
And peace.